Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're diving into an important moment in global diplomacy, a major speech by Brazilian President Lula da Silva to BRICS leaders made on September the 8th. This BRICS meeting is quite unusual and it has the potential to reshape how the global south confronts rising geopolitical tensions. Today, in this video, we will also discuss PM Modi's cancellation of his speech at the UN General Assembly in response to Trump's tariff war. So yes, the global south is more united than it's ever been before. The global south is rising. In the virtual summit that was held on September the 8th, Lula delivered a strong, direct message. BRICS must stand united against unilateralism. This echoed the sentiment that was voiced during the most recent SCO summit just a week ago, and I've written extensively about the SCO summit over on my Substack and Patreon, and you should get caught up on those articles if you haven't already. I will link them below. Now, why does Lula's speech matter? Why does it matter? Well, it matters because BRICS now represents nearly 40% of global GDP, and that is no small player. And Lula is positioning the group as a counterweight to what he calls the divide and conquer strategy of powerful nations acting alone. In Lula's words, the world is facing, and I quote, growing international instability. He also criticized the use of tariff blackmail, which is economic pressure that is used as a weapon to interfere in other countries' domestic affairs. Of course, the US loves to do that, and he argues that this is becoming normalized. It has become normalized, but it shouldn't be. Lula called on BRICS to prove that cooperation can prevail over rivalry, that diplomacy and solidarity, not isolation and dominance, should guide international relations. The summit itself was initiated by Brazil, and it came just 2 months after the Rio de Janeiro BRICS summit. Tensions in global trade and in geopolitics are higher than they've ever been before, and Lula knows that the global south cannot afford to be caught in the middle of a new Cold War. So, what does Lula propose? That is the important question. Well, first, he wants to revitalize multilateralism. Multilateralism is the idea that global challenges should be addressed through inclusive international cooperation, not by a few dominant powers acting alone. He also argued that BRICS has the legitimacy and now has the economic weight to lead the reform of global governance institutions, including the United Nations and the World Trade Organization. Speaking of the WTO, Lula urged BRICS to stand together at the 14th WTO Conference of Ministers, which will take place in Cameroon next year. It is a crucial opportunity for BRICS nations to align their trade policies and to push for fair global trade rules. Now, a big portion of Lula's speech focused on the critical issue, which is the environment. He framed COP30 climate conference, which is set to be held in Belém in Brazil, as what he called a moment of truth and science. And here Lula emphasized something that developing nations have been saying for years. Those most affected by the climate crisis must lead the global response. They shouldn't be on the sidelines just waiting to hear, waiting to be ordered what to do. And it is clear that Lula's speech wasn't just a wish list, it was a strategic blueprint. He argued that BRICS unity, especially from the global south, is the best way to avoid a new Cold War and to push for a new growth model, one that balances development with environmental preservation. And I think it is very important for developing nations, especially since they've been exploited in more ways than just one. Now, looking ahead, Lula stressed the importance of the upcoming 80th United Nations General Assembly, which opens on September the 9th with the high-level general debate scheduled for later in the month. So it is going to take place during the month of September. Lula said this is an opportunity for BRICS to speak with one voice, those are his words, and not only on trade and climate, but also on how the world should be governed in the future, meaning the necessary changes that should take place in terms of global governance. His message was very, very clear. Unilateralism cannot deliver peace, justice, or prosperity, and BRICS must be the new voice of multilateralism. Now let's zoom out for just a moment. The call for a more balanced world order comes as the global stage is shifting and doing so very fast. The United Nations General Assembly will see some big moves this year. Brazil, as tradition dictates, will speak first. The US President Trump is scheduled to address the General Assembly on September the 23rd, marking his first UN speech in his second term. But notably, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will not attend. He changed his mind, and instead, External Affairs Minister Jaishankar will represent India on September the 27th, and this is according to a revised list of speakers. Now, my understanding is that PM Modi is even considering canceling his US visit altogether, although no formal announcement has been made as of yet. This is a very significant change. Modi had been scheduled to speak just weeks ago, and his absence and Trump's growing attempts to influence India's energy trade, especially the 25% tariff on Indian imports of Russian oil, might hint at deeper recalibration, if you will, in India's foreign policy. So what's at stake here? Well, Lula is trying to position BRICS not just as an economic bloc, but as a moral and strategic alternative to the power politics of the West. He's drawing a line, effectively, between a world ruled by a few and a world governed by all. This is a truly significant step. It is a very bold move, but it resonates with many countries tired of being forced to choose sides, tired of having to comply with sanctions, despite their own self-interest, of course, or even suffering from policies that they had no role in shaping, that they had no control over. The question is, can BRICS truly unite around these goals? And if so, how much influence can it really exert in reshaping the global order? Those are the two big questions. Only time will tell, of course, but one thing is very clear. Lula is betting on the power of the Global South to redefine the global framework in the coming years. That's it for today's breakdown. If you found this helpful, hit the like button, subscribe, and share the video with someone who is following global affairs closely. Make sure that you are subscribed to my Substack and Patreon. Support my work. It will be very much appreciated. And let me know in the comments, do you think BRICS can lead the change that Lula is calling for, or will internal divisions limit the power? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. And I'll see you back here tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.